Good evening and welcome to a special edition of South Florida Today called iVote. We are live in the WXEL studio tonight focusing on the impact of the youth vote in the upcoming election. We've asked some experts to join us who you'll meet in just a moment, and we'll show you some stories that we've done all over the Palm Beach County area, finding out just what young voters are interested in, if they're going to the polls, and if so, why. Let me introduce our guest first, Pamela Goodman, the president of the League of Women Voters in Palm Beach County. Welcome.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Kevin Lanning, professor of psychology over at FAU. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Adina Sorrell, we met you weeks ago when we joined you in some of the high schools. You're a special projects coordinator for the Palm Beach County Supervisors of Elections Office. Nice to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Let's just start. Pam, you are literally educating voters all year round, not just the last few months, not just the last few weeks, but all year round. We've heard a lot, youth vote, youth vote. This is going to be this year. What is your feeling from being out there and hearing people talk?
Well, I think everyone is very excited, about what's happening with the youth. And a lot of our organizations and separate people, we've been saying for years, oh my gosh, how do we attract the youth? How do we get the youth? How do we get them involved? And seemingly, we weren't resonating with them. We weren't talking the same language. We weren't speaking to them in ways that they are getting their information. MySpace, Facebook, MTV. And this year, some people began talking to them and also resonating on issues that meant something to them. And so I think all people are realizing how important this election is to them, and we do expect a record-breaking turnout.
Professor, you have certainly researched, written about the disenfranchisement, the democracy, how the two go together, looking back to the 2004 race. What is your feeling looking at this? Are the issues truly resonating, or is it the candidates that are pushing the I should say young people to the polls?
The same issues that largely galvanize older voters also speak to younger voters, and that's kind of surprising. We might expect that Iraq, the environment would be primary in the minds of younger voters, but they share the concern for the economy that older voters do as well. I think this has the potential to be a transformational election, not just because of the candidates, but because of the time. Voting becomes a habit. Once we vote for the first time, it's very rewarding. It's very exciting.
I love that iVote sticker.
Yeah,
I'm serious,
yes.
and people are very proud of that sticker.
Right. That's right. It's part of who we are.
And you think that will definitely translate down, so to speak, this year?
I think it will translate not just this year, but in the years to come. The increase that we've seen in youth voting over the last 8 years at least will continue as the habit to vote becomes ingrained. And with this election this year, it's likely to have a consequence that we're going to be seeing for the rest of our lives.
Adina, you can certainly speak to what the professor is discussing, because you aren't just sitting up studying the numbers. You're in there speaking with the soon-to-be first-time voters in a great registration program. Before we see the piece, just tell us why you thought something like this would work so well within the high school system.
Well, I'll tell you, the students that I know that I've met in the high schools have actually been so I don't know what the word is, just very excited about having this program. And I think it works really well because it's a consistent program. The League of Women Voters have partnered with the Supervisor of Elections. We work with other local organizations and retired teachers. And the League of Women Voters have been doing this far before the Supervisor of Elections did. They worked mainly in the South County area, and their program was very successful. But what we did in the Supervisor of Elections office is open the program up to the entire county. And with that, we have a program of civics, a civics lesson. We do voter registration, and we show the students how to go ahead and use the new current voting machine, and we give them this really cool bracelet. So they just love the program, and it's really a necessary program. The faculty, everyone loves it, so it's really great.
Well, again, the program was working prior to 2008, but what are you hearing? Are you hearing what we are all guessing, that the economy, that gas prices aren't just issues for those who pay the bills. They're issues for the family members of those who pay the bills.
Absolutely. The students, part of the questions that we ask are, what are the issues that are important to you? And by far, before the economy had its problems that was so prevalent in the news, the number one issue that was important to the students was the Iraq War. Now it's the economy and, of course, the jobs. So the students are very well tuned in, and I really do expect a great turnout.
Well, we've talked a lot about it. Let's just see a snippet of the story we did with Adina and some of the local high schools that will tell you more about the iVote program. 6 years ago, Supervisor of Elections office worker Adina Sorrell came up with a plan to get more young people to the polls.
Consider voting for them. So be an educated voter and vote in your best interest. I created the iVote project back in 2005, and I brought the proposal to the Supervisor of Elections, Dr. Arthur Anderson, and he really thought it would be a great program to implement. So that's what we did. And since 2005, we've partnered with the League of Women Voters and other local organizations, as well as retired teachers. And to date, we've registered over 15,000 students. So I would like to congratulate all of them and thank them so much for their efforts.
The idea? To go into senior civics classes around Palm Beach County and get kids excited about registering to vote.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Great. My name is Adina Sorrell. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator at Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. And today we're going to learn a little bit about voting history.
In both small and big classes, Adina and volunteers pass out voter registration forms.
Anybody registered to vote already here?
And they listen while teens share what they feel are the major issues in the upcoming election.
Poverty, that's important as well. The war. Healthcare.
Those who choose to can register right in class. Many 17-year-olds we met were excited about the opportunity, even if it meant waiting until the next election.
I want to be able to have a voice and a choice of who I want elected. I think this is a good thing, so since it was there, that's what I wanted to do, and I plan to vote in the future.
I think if you don't go to the polls and you don't vote, then whatever happens, I don't think you should really criticize it because you didn't put your input into the decision.
The high school seniors we spoke with echoed their classmates over and over again. The economy and the war in Iraq came up as reasons they will vote this year.
We're paying taxes, and we're spending millions of dollars overseas, and we're getting nowhere.
Where should the millions of dollars be spent?
Here.
Adina has been in dozens of classrooms over the years and feels that the low voter turnout among young people is turning around.
We've seen the increase, obviously because it's a presidential year, but there's always been an interest when we've gone into the high schools. The students have always been interested in the whole electoral process.
She visited 8 schools and signed up 3,000 students, like Greg Olseth, who says his family is definitely feeling the pinch.
In the past, usually gone out to eat once or twice a week, but now we've really cut back because of gas.
Most people want to vote. Most people want to. I don't know if their reasons are all the same, but I'm sure most kids want to vote.
Dina is not deterred by the kids in class who don't seem so interested.
If you take a look back in history, I certainly do expect more turnout this go-round. The 2002 midterm election versus the 2006 midterm election actually yielded more than 2 million voters in this demographic of 18 to 26. So I'm very excited to kind of anticipate the great turnout from this demographic at this upcoming general election. I'm really excited about that.
Samantha Leo turned 18 on the day her class was registering to vote. She expects to exercise her right on November 4th. They say it's a privilege, They say, women up until the 1920s couldn't even vote. Do you think of it that way, or is it just a given that, this is what we do?
Well, up until a few months ago, I thought it's just whatever. I was never into politics, but recently I've been looking into it because I think it's important. Because a majority, 18 years old, we're still considered naive, but I think a majority of us know what's going on.
And it is teens just like this that will push teachers and organizers to keep educating and inspiring the young voters of tomorrow.